Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are doing well. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing the United States women's national team versus Australia in the third and final game of Group G's group play stage of the Olympics. I'll be discussing the players, the gameplay, the formation, our tactics, and at the end I'll give my final thoughts. As always, timestamps will be in the description down below. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you guys think down below. And without further ado, let's get started. There were a handful of changes that were made to the starting lineup compared to the previous game against New Zealand. These included the addition of Kelly O'Hara and Becky Sauerbrunn in the backline, replacing Emily Sonnet and Abby Dahlkemper. In the midfield, we had Sam Mewis replace Lindsay Horan, and up top we had Alex Morgan and Kristen Press replace Tobin Heath and Carly Lloyd. We lined up as a 4-3-3 formation, but it didn't necessarily look like that. It looked more like a 4-2-4 formation, with Sam Mewis and Julia Ertz being the two holding midfielders, and with Rose Lavelle stepping up to make four forwards with Alex Morgan, Megan Rapinoe, and Kristen Press. The formation change was utilized to help prevent Australia from attacking down the middle of the field because we had the two center forwards with Rose Lavelle and Alex Morgan. They were doing the majority of the pressing on the holding midfielder and the two center backs, and the two holding midfielders on our team, Julia Ertz and Sam Mewis, they were doing a really good job of putting a lot of pressure in the midfield, and it was just way too compact of a space to try to play through. And so that's what forced Australia to play down the flanks instead of going through the middle of the field, and oftentimes due to the pressure and not having options, they were then forced to kick it, which I think was all by design. I think we got some good rotation in, but I'll talk about this later on. I don't necessarily think it's a player issue. I think it's just a team mentality issue at the moment, which is why we're not seeing the results we're used to seeing. We did pretty much nothing this half. I expected more, even though we knew we were going to move on despite the result of the game as long as we didn't lose. But even if we did lose, we would have just been in third and we still would have moved on. Despite that, and despite knowing that a tie or a win would bring us in the same position, we'd still be in second place and it wouldn't change the outcome of who we played in the quarterfinals. I was still expecting more. And even Australia was expecting more. Their head coach, Tony, he said, I was expecting the United States to come press us, and they literally didn't do that at all, which I'm definitely shocked by because that's just not our DNA. That's not our team's philosophy. Is just sit back and let the other team control the tempo. I think this is one of those games that could have been really used to try new things and work on ideas, but instead we just said, we're going to go for the tie, and if we happen to get in the attack and score, then that's great. But there was no urgency to try to put numbers on the board, and there's no urgency to try to win the ball and to go forward, and I was just genuinely disappointed by our presence and our mentality within this game. One reason why the United States has had so much success in the past is because we play such a high press and we force other teams to make mistakes, and then we clean up the mistakes they made by scoring on them. We did not high press at all in this game, which is something I was really surprised by. We were just sitting in and letting them have the ball, and that's okay. We don't always have to be pressing 100% of the time, but there were moments when we could have put a lot of more pressure on like a player like Ellie Carpenter, but we chose to give her the space and let her get herself out of trouble. The only two players on the team who really seemed to be doing a lot of pressing were Rose Lavelle and Julia Ertz. I thought Rose was fantastic in this game. She was getting forward and back defensively. She was cutting off passes. She was placing a lot of pressure on the center backs and the holding midfielder. She was on the ball. She was behind the ball. She was getting the ball back. She was everywhere. And Julia Ertz was also fantastic defensively, stepping in, making those interceptions and those challenges. But other than those two players, there wasn't really a lot of intensity and urgency in the final third or even in the midfield to try to even put any pressure on the other team. It was one of those things where the reason those two players stood out so drastically is because the other players on the field weren't just stepping at all. I mean, Megan Rapinoe and Kristen Press were letting them get down the sidelines way too easy. It's like Ellie Carpenter, the Australia's right back, will have the ball, and there's no options in the middle of the field, and she's going to play it wide because that's the only open pass she has. And Megan Rapinoe just steps way too hard so they can just pass it right around her. And Kristen Press wasn't even attempting to make a challenge on any of the players. The most she would do is give them a little nudge, but they would get by her anyway. I'm sorry, that just can't happen. I don't care if we're going for a tie. That's all 1v1 mentality. You have to be stronger than that. Despite the fact that we didn't high press, we were still forcing Australia to make a lot of mistakes and launch the ball as a result because they had no options going forward. Their midfield was completely overloaded. They didn't have enough options. They were playing with one holding midfielder and she just couldn't get on the ball. And because of that, players like Sam Kerr were having to check back to try to receive it, and so Australia was forced to just launch it and kick it. And we were able to intercept those, but a lot of the times what would happen is we would be way too impatient the second we won the ball back. It's like we do all this work to get it back, and then a player like Sam Mewis would immediately launch it forward to nobody making a run. And it's like, it's not necessarily the forward's fault for not making a run, but it's also not necessarily Sam's fault for assuming they would be. It's like we just weren't on the same page in any way, shape, or form. And not only on the transition, it was just in regular possession. We could not keep the ball. I mean, we'd have moments where instead of just playing simple and going back, or even being simple and going sideways, we would try to force it going forward, or force a cross, or force a ball over top. And it's like, we didn't need to do that because we're just giving the ball back to them immediately, ruining our chances of trying to create momentum by just constantly giving the ball away. It's hard to create momentum when you're not on the ball, and the second you get it, you continue to lose it, because that's when players start to get frustrated. And we saw that against Sweden. When you're not on the ball a lot, you want to prioritize the times you do have it, and we just weren't doing that. We were just giving it away immediately. Morgan and Rapinoe, I thought Morgan was okay, but Megan Rapinoe just did straight up nothing. Absolutely nothing on the field. The ball would come to her, and she would either lose it or she would kick it to someone, and it wouldn't make it. It's not like we didn't have our chances in the first half. I mean, Alex Morgan got her breakaway from Lavelle, who had a great heads-up play, played it into space knowing that we were on a counterattack, and Alex Morgan just kicked it straight at the keeper. I mean, that's something I think she should have at least placed on the ground, given her talent. But I mean, it's her first chance of the game, and it's a breakaway, and she was kind of off balance when taking the shot. And then obviously she had her header that went in that they called offsides. And then Kristen Press obviously had a chance in towards the end of the first half, but her first touch just took her way too far away from the goal, and it cut off her angle. Her shot was just poor. It's like a player of that caliber needs to have a better first touch. But again, that was also her first chance of the game as well. She had a shot that she was able to, sort of kick over the defender and then try to re-volley it, but Australia was able to recover, and we earned a corner. So it's not like we didn't have our chances in the final third, we just didn't capitalize on any of them. So it was obviously a very boring game offensively, but defensively, I don't think we were that strong either. I think we were better at defending set pieces, but we were giving way too many set pieces away. Australia almost scored from a header due to that long throw-in, so there's still areas that we need to do better on. But overall in the first half, it was so boring. I got up at, 3:30 for this? I actually stayed up all night for it, and then I was just like, really? All for this? What am I even going to talk about? The second half. Like I mentioned, Sam Kerr wasn't really doing a whole lot, so we ended up switching the formation, bringing Sam Mewis forward more. But again, she still wasn't getting involved in anything. She was losing the ball way too often, and so she just wasn't being effective for our team, and Lindsey Horan ended up coming on for her, and she stayed in the attacking role for about 10 minutes before switching back to the 6 to sort of solidify the back line, because at that point in the match, both teams kind of accepted they were going to go for the draw, and they were just going to hold the ball. There's really not much more to say about the second half. I mean, we played literally the exact same. We ended up having some subs come on. Tobin Heath came on, Lynn Williams came on, and Carly Lloyd came on, along with Lindsey Horan, like I mentioned. I thought Tobin, for the first time in this tournament, I actually kind of saw her look like she wanted to take players on, kind of growing in her confidence, but clearly the game plan was to keep the ball and not do anything stupid, so she wasn't necessarily going for it as much as I thought she would, and you could totally tell it was against everything in her just to sit back and let Australia have it. Carly Lloyd, she put in some great offensive pressure, but again, it's like no chances were made, and Lynn, she didn't even get an opportunity to even do anything. So overall, there's really nothing to say about this half. It was just the most boring match I've watched in a really long time. I mean, we got the job done, right? We ended the game with a 0-0 tie. And it didn't matter if we won it or we tied. We were still going to get the same result. We were still going to play the same team in the quarterfinals. So you might as well rest players and, try to keep a 0-0 scoreline, which, I mean, Australia did the same thing. So, I mean, at the end of the day, they got the job done. They did what they came to do. But it was just so boring to watch in the process. Tierna Davidson, she was actually named the man of the match, which I think is very deserving for her, because I think this is one of the best games I've ever seen her play. Every moment where we were a little concerned defensively, she was there to step in and clean up the mistakes that we were making. She had one very essential defensive block towards the second half. I don't know if it was Kaya Simon or Sam Kerr, but they got shot, and it bounced just above the 6-yard box, and Tierna Davidson made a great challenge by getting her leg in front of the shot and deflected out for a corner, and that easily could have been a goal if she wasn't there to make the recovery. And so I think that's the thing I love about Tierna Davidson is, if she gets beat or the forward ends up winning the ball, stepping before she can get it, she always repositions herself to put herself in the best position to then try to re-win the ball back for her team, or to try to at least prevent a shot from being taken, which was what happened in that situation. Not only that, but she just reads the game so well. She knows when to step and when to not step. Like, for example, there was lots of times when Ellie Carpenter would try to send a long ball into Sam Kerr, and Tierna would have read that super early, so she stepped before Sam could even have a chance to think about it and cleared it out. And there are moments when she stepped but even had the composure and the ability to take a touch and then try to find a pass to someone else. And I think that's something that sets her apart from every other center back we have on this team, because she can win the ball. Instead of just kicking it to relieve the pressure, she'll try to find a pass. But she has the maturity to know when to do it and when not to do it. Now, she had a few moments, like in the first half where she made a bad pass and it ended up getting, I think it went out of bounds. But it's like, again, everybody's going to have their mistakes. I think overall she was solid defensively. She kept her shape. She did her job. She stayed on Sam Kerr. Didn't allow anything to happen from Sam. She didn't get any opportunities. And I think she had a phenomenal performance. She's making a case for herself to be a starter. Sam Mewis. Sam looks lost. She's having a poor tournament. It's just sometimes it's one of those things where it's like, it's just not your day. It's not your tournament, it's whatever. There's so much pressure on these athletes to be so good that until you get in your head and you start thinking, oh my god, like I was bad last game, I was bad the game before, I need to do better. And then you're overthinking things, you're making it too complicated, and then you end up making mistakes because you're too hard on yourself. And clearly something's happening. Her confidence is low. Her touches were awful. Her passing was awful. We're used to seeing Sam settle the ball and just take on the other team 1v1, just dribble and completely split the middle of the field apart and then find a pass. But we haven't seen her do any of that. The passes that she makes, she'll have like a 10-yard pass that she just can't connect, or a 20-yard pass that she under hits so the defender can step to, and it's just the small things that she should be able to complete that she's just not doing. And I think it's all down to confidence at this point. I'm not sure what's happening with her. She's just having an off tournament. I really hope Sam, whatever's going on, she gets it together, because she's a phenomenal midfielder and we really need her for this team's success. Alex Morgan. I thought Alex did actually pretty well. She did good at keeping the offensive shape. It was clearly pre-planned though that the team wasn't going to high press, so I wasn't expecting her to do that. She had that one shot on goal that obviously she kicked at the goalkeeper. I think she should have done better there. But to find herself in that position and to stay ready, I think that's a great sign. She did have that header that went in that was disallowed, which again, like I mentioned earlier, I don't think that was offsides. I think she was onsides. I hate the onside rule. I actually wrote an essay about this for my final paper, but I am in support of VAR, but I don't understand some of the rules that the game uses. It's like you can't score with your arm, so why is your arm offsides? Naturally, the forward's going to be leaning forward because that's the direction they're going. And so, it was really close, right? I think they should give the benefit of the doubt to the forward. That's just my opinion. But I liked how they used VAR in the Euros, how, unless the on-field referee made a clear and obvious error, they wouldn't overturn it. And I don't think the referee in the situation made a clear and obvious error, because it was so close. So I understand why it wasn't overturned, but I do think it was a goal. But again, I think it's good for her, because even though it didn't count, she found herself in the right position, and that corner that they constructed was phenomenal. They caught Australia completely out of position. They were sleeping. They were not ready, and so that's why she was so wide open for that corner. She was also really great in orchestrating play as well. She had that great through ball to Kristen Press, who her touch was too wide and she didn't get a good shot off. But she was doing a lot of things on and off the ball as well that was really noticeable. And so I think either her or Carly will probably be starting the next game against the Netherlands as that center forward position. Rose Lavelle. I think Rose Lavelle was the best player on the field besides Tina Davidson. She just actually looked like she wanted to be out there and working hard, and she showed up and she put in a great shift offensively and defensively. She was everywhere. She was making runs out of the back. She was trying to make plays offensively. Most notable thing for her was her defensive work and her presence. Her positioning was amazing. Her moving up to that sort of double 9 position, I think, is a really great space for her to be in, because it gives her the freedom to then also come back into the midfield if she wants to. And I think that's really great for her to have that freedom, because then it allows her to find which space she can use best. I think her positioning defensively is so well, because she finds herself being able to intercept and cut off passes so often, which then helps us jumpstart our counterattack. But unfortunately in this game we just weren't connecting. She's going to be the key to unlocking the midfield. She just needs help. That's all the players I have to talk about, but I would like to talk about one other person, and that's Vlatko. Listen, I got a comment from Astrid DeCheco. I think that's how you say their name. I'm not sure. Basically what they were saying was they think Vlatko has like overcomplicated things and, you know, got rid of tactics that were working and replaced them with things that aren't working, like for example the corners and the zone and just our press shape. And they were saying it mimicked like a Liverpool counter press, and I totally agree. But they were saying, you know, we're concerned that Vlatko is going to get out coached tactic wise in the rest of this tournament because it seems like he's trying to overcomplicate things. You know, like they said, there are small things that Vlatko's changed. And for what? Like, why are you changing to a zone defense when it's proven it's not working for us? Why are we forcing such a high line on, you know, set pieces when it's kind of not really working either? On corners, like such simple things, we're trying to overcomplicate it. It's like Vlatko, his biggest issue right now is he's trying to fill Jill Ellis's shoes. And that's a lot of pressure on him. It seems at times that our team doesn't really seem to be on the same page with him. But he said after this game, he said, you know, we came and did what we wanted to do, and so we got the result we wanted. Our players exercised their professionalism by sticking to the game plan. It's like, yeah, well, I do agree with that. We are not showing any fight. My view on Vlatko at the moment, I've tried to always trust him the best I can because nobody knows the players best like he does. He trains with them all the time. Obviously, he's a coach. Right now, I'm not feeling too confident, I can't lie. Some of the things he's doing just doesn't feel right, and it seems like we're taking our team in a direction that we don't want to be going mentality-wise, and I really hope we can get back to the space we were in before, where, you know, winning is just the DNA of this team. I think Vlatko's been doing this thing where we're completely changing our team to fit our opponents, which in the past it's the other way around. Other teams are changing to fit the way we play. Like in 2016 when we played Sweden and lost in the quarterfinal, Sweden had to completely change their lineup and park the bus and hope that they got a counterattack and scored because they knew how dangerous we were, right? And they executed that. And then once they won, they kind of started building confidence, and then later down the line, they're taking their game plan to us, and we are having to conform our team to adjust to their game plan. That's not our team. We need to stop changing our game plan to fit what the other team's going to do to us. It needs to be the other way around. The other team needs to sit down and look at themselves and be like, okay, they're going to do this and this and this. This is what we have to change. We need to take our game to them and stop letting them bring their game to us. And that's the mentality shift that I'm really concerned about at the moment, because it's like we know our players have the talent, they have the ability, but at the end of the day, it's all up here. It's all in the mindset. And so if we're not there mentally, if we don't have that fight mentally, we're just not going to go very far, and we're not going to beat the Netherlands. My thoughts going into the quarterfinals against the Netherlands. I cannot lie, I'm concerned. I don't feel very confident going into the game against the Netherlands just based off of the collective outcome of the group stage. Now, yes, in the 2016 group stage, we did not do good either, but we know how that one ended. We had a chance to redeem ourselves this Olympics, and I just don't feel like we have the right mindset for that. But at the end of the day, it's like this United States team is so unpredictable. The backbone of their team is veterans who are used to winning. It's Carly Lloyd, Alex Morgan, Tobin Heath. The backbone of our team is experience, and so you never know, they might bring that. They might step up at the right moments. Maybe so far this tournament has just been a fluke. Yesterday's game just felt so wrong in so many ways. It's like I mentioned, it just goes against the DNA. This was one of the few times I've actually agreed with a lot of what Julie Faddy has said, and we just weren't doing enough in this game, and we weren't energetic enough. And it's like, yes, I get we're going for the tie, but that doesn't mean you don't go into these challenges and you don't go into these plays. Like, it doesn't mean you still can't give effort. Looking forward to the game against the Netherlands. There's one area of Netherlands game that I think we can take advantage of, and that is their defense. They are not very strong defensively. They had 3 goals scored on them by Zambia, and they had 3 goals scored on them by Brazil, and the Netherlands won 8-2 against China. So they've conceded 8 goals, which is double the amount we've conceded, and they're not playing the teams nearly as good as what Sweden and the teams we've had to play right. You can realize that Netherlands has its issues defensively. 1v1 I think is a great area to take advantage of. I also think the through balls in behind. Van Veenendaal, their goalkeeper, I think she's had her shaky moments in this tournament. Now, she's very strong, right? Don't get me wrong, she's a fantastic keeper. But there was that one goal that I believe it was Zambia scored that it just was a fluke. It was a miscommunication between the goalkeeper and the defenders. So I think those are areas that we can take advantage of. But we have to be careful because offensively, the Netherlands are so strong. I mean, you have Miedema, you have Van de Donk, you have Roord, You have Van de Sonden. I mean, I could continue going. There's so many players who can just completely take advantage of our back line. And so that's why I'd like to see Tierna start, because we know that she's going to give 100% effort, she's going to track her run, and she's going to win those balls in the air, which is what we need to help counteract a player like Miedema, who's so strong in the box. And Haran has to start too, because she's going to bring the IQ and the grit to help players like Van de Donk, Jackie Groningen, and just, you know, the strength that they have. She's going to be able to be there and help counteract the spirit. I think Rose has to start because of her creativity. Rose always shows up against the Netherlands. And obviously, JJ. Up top, I'd like to see Tobin because, like I mentioned in the last game against Australia, she looked like she was trying to kind of come out of her shell. And I think this might be her breakthrough game. Either Kristen Press or Alex Morgan up top. Press, again, would be great in this game as well. She's quick. She just needs to be smart, better in her decision making. And Carly up top would be a great option, or Alex up top, because I think, you know, they both apply a great amount of pressure. But we just have to be compact defensively, compact in the middle, and we have to high press. I'm sorry, we have to come out and high press them. If we come out the way we've come out against Sweden and Australia, Netherlands is going to beat us. The game against Mexico in the last game of the send-off series, we were mimicking being down a goal. We need to come out the exact same way, mimicking like we're down a goal, because we can, score 2 goals in the first half? That would be phenomenal. Then at that point, it's like, yeah, you can park the bus. Do I think that's a good idea? No. But, at least then you kind of have a justified reason to. And if the odd chance we go into penalties, who's going to step up for them? I mean, it's not something you want to think about, but you kind of have to. You know, Press didn't make hers. Morgan didn't make hers in the 2016 Olympics. Like, at the end of the day, these players, it's up to them if they want to go out and win it. We have to come out in the first 15 minutes and we need to hold the ball, and we have to dictate play. The first 10 minutes of the game, like I mentioned in my other videos, I try not to judge too hard. But after that, that's when I start to be critical, like, okay, we need to get on the ball, we need to get it. The second the whistle blows, the ball has to be ours. We have to keep it, and we have to keep the ball and start generating momentum, because the second we allow the Netherlands to get their groove going, then we're going to be trying to catch up. And that's what we've been doing this whole tournament, is letting the other team dictate the play. And we need to completely turn that around. You know, if we have to exert a lot of energy, then we do. But that's what will get us to the next round of this tournament. And it's like, I'd rather us be tired than go out early. That would be awful. It'd be a repeat. So like I said, not only that, but the Netherlands they want revenge. This is a 2019 World Cup final repeat, but in the Olympics in the quarterfinal. So this is a huge game. They want to win. They want to show that they've made these improvements, and they want to beat us. And so at the end of the day, it's going to be a battle of the mindset. That's what I think it's going to be down to, because both teams have the talent, both teams have the ability. It's just whoever wants to come win, that's going to be the result. Honestly, that's all I have for today. I remember the second the final whistle blew, I sat there and I was like, what am I even going to talk about? Because this game was so boring. If there was stuff that I didn't mention and you noticed, please let me know down below. Let me know what you think. What are your predictions going into the game against the Netherlands? Are you scared? Are you excited? Do you think there's a player that we need? Who should be subbed off? Come on, whatever. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Okay, bye.